Welcome to Richard Mabey Presents.
Hello, YouTube friends. This is Richard Mabey with Richard Mabey Presents. It's Friday, August 11th, 2023, morning time, and I'll put this up later on today. I was thinking about this moment in time when I was in fifth grade and 10 years old, the summer of 1964. And my buddy Stu and we used to sleep over each other's house. And it's funny, a lot of times when Stu would sleep over my house, especially during the summer, we would sleep out in the backyard. And we had this old tent, and we'd, camp out in the backyard. and there were woods all around my house. And Mabey Lane was a country lane, a dead end, and all around us, north, east, west, and south, north, east, and west, were woods all around us. So it was we had a big backyard. We had we had 3 acres of land, and then past the backyard was this beautiful open meadow, and we'd camp out. And sometimes we would, and kind of like in the middle of the night, explore the woods with our little flashlights. I mean, how crazy was that? But whenever I stayed over at Stu's house, Stu did have a really good canvas pup tent, but we never slept out over Stu's house. Stu lived, his house was very isolated. It was this long, winding driveway up this very steep hill. And in fact, I'll argue with anybody. Stewart's house was at the highest point of Lincoln Park, because you could go outside his house on his side yard and look out across old Lincoln Park, and there was no other point that was any higher. And there was woods all around Stu's house too. And Stu had this great tree fort in the woods, and we would walk to this tree fort. But Stu owned, or his parents had 26 acres, and most of it was wooded land. And there was this point past Stu's tree fort where there was this craggy rock formation, and it was about 3 stories high. It was straight up, really, really tough to climb. There was no real slope to it. It was perpendicular to the earth, straight up. We used to climb up it, and there would be little nooks and crannies in the rocks, in this rock formation, where you could put your toe in this little tiny crevice. And strangely enough, a miracle of, I say miracle of nature, but a miracle of God, there'd be clumps of clay that had landed on these little little points where the rock formation would be about, I don't know, a foot of flat rock in the midst of this tall, towering mountain of rock. And there'd be clumps of clay, and like trees, saplings would grow out of there. And so it would give us a momentary handle, something to clench onto to get to the next higher level. And it was just a wonderful time, magical time, to be like 10 years old. And all of these woods. Um, but I remember one time sleeping over Stu's house, specifically the summer of 1964. I don't know why I remember it. Um, in the Andy Griffith Show, there's an episode where Opie's flunking arithmetic, and Barney gets involved with it, and Aunt Bee gets involved with it. In Half of Mayberry, Otis gets involved with it. Floyd gets involved. Everyone's giving Andy advice because Opie gets a D on one test in his arithmetic class. But there's a point where Barney is convinced that Opie needs a vocation. He's the kid. The kid's like in second grade or third. He's like 7 years old, and Barney's trying to channel him into a career. So anyway, Barney's got this vocational test, which I suspect was for like kids that are in like their junior or senior year of high school. He gets a hold of this vocational test, and and Barney's sitting in his chair by Andy's desk, and he calls, and Andy and Opie comes in. Andy's not there, so he starts giving Opie the vocational test. And one of the questions says, "What would you rather do? Work on a chemistry set or build a boat or something like that?" So Opie says, was it the red box or the blue box of chemistry set?" And so then Barney says, "Red box, blue box, what difference does it make?" And Opie says, "Well, the blue box, I forget that name of that friend, Jason, something like that." He says, "Well, he's got the blue box, and that's the one that can make the smoke bombs. And I got the red box, but the red box you can't make the smoke bombs." And Barney's going like, "Opie, it's a straightforward question. What would you rather have, the chemistry set or the?" And it's on and on and on. And Andy comes in and has a fit because Barney's giving Opie this vocational test that guidance counselors give to 16-year-old kids. So anyway, the chemistry set. So anyway, I had a chemistry set and Stu had a chemistry set. And with these little bottles like this big, and they would have compounds and elements and chemicals. And somewhere I still have my Chemcraft manual. I kept it all these years, and it's in one of my blue boxes. I gotta find it and show it to everybody. So anyway, we're over at Stu's house. I slept over, and get up in the morning, like even before breakfast. I mean, it must have been like we got up like 6 in the morning, and Stu says, "Oh, chemistry set, man. We're working on the chemistry set." And Stu had a Bunsen burner. And a Bunsen burner was a single, like a cylinder, a metal cylinder with a small propane tank attached to it. And you didn't need a match. You had this, I guess this is flint and steel device, and it looked like kitchen tongs, and you flip it and go, and if a flame, like not a flame but a spark would come out of it, and you put it by the top of the Bunsen burner, you turn it on, you go like this, you go, and it would, for like 1 second, the flame would be really high, but then it would settle down, the flame would settle down. So anyway, Stu lights up this Bunsen burner, and he makes up this concoction, this chemical cocktail. It's just like chemical soup, and he's got it in the Pyrex beaker, and he goes, "Oh, this will be so cool." I said, "Stu, is this safe? Stu, is this safe? Don't worry." He goes, "Richie, don't worry, everything's cool." So there was a metal like a plate above the Bunsen burner, but it had um, like a lot of open spaces on it. Like um, it just it was just enough wiring to hold a, a flask, you know. Um, so anyway, um, Stu puts the flask on top of the plate for the Bunsen burner. We haven't lit up the Bunsen burner yet, so Stu lights up the Bunsen burner in about 3 seconds from the from the from the beaker. Smoke fills the room. So Stu goes immediately, we gotta open the window, we gotta open the window, we gotta open the window. So at the foot, what happened, Stu had this, Stu's family had a cot, an old army cot, and I would set the army cot like perpendicular to Stu's bed, at the foot of Stu's bed, set up the cot, and I'd sleep on the cot. And the only window to Stu's room was above his headboard. So we immediately opened. It had three. It was like one huge window with three separate divisions, three separate little. So we opened all three windows, and we're like trying to get the smoke out. So then maybe 2 minutes later, I guess the smoke was seeping through that, you know, that in the door jamb, the bottom of the door jamb, there's this tiny little crack, and the smoke is coming out the door. It's like starting to fill the outdoor, the hallway. And Stu's mom opens the door. Says, she was just a wonderful person. Stu's mom, Mrs. S, was a wonderful person, very sweet, kind person. And she says, hey, you boys coming for breakfast? This room is filled with smoke. It's just filled with smoke. To this day, I don't know what Stu concocted in that chemical soup or that chemical cocktail that he made. And we were lucky the house didn't blow up. So and she was Mrs. S was the master of the understatement. She says, well, you boys are playing with the chemistry set." Smoke all over the room, white smoke, and and so Stu goes, Mom, we're doing a chemistry experiment. Oh, that's real nice. Smoke all over the room. So anyway, you know, Mrs. S says, "Oh, it's good you opened the window." So it's like, but anyway, we had breakfast, and by the time we came back from breakfast, the smoke had more or less sifted out of the window out into the universe. But what a moment in time! I mean, you know, I look back at it at the moment when Stu lit the Bunsen burner for that chemical soup that he made with smoke all over. It was, you know, it's funny. In early September, I'm gonna be 70, and I think about these little bubbles, these little moments in time and places and moments in time, and it's so strange to get old. It's such a strange process, but I think overall I had a good childhood in dear old Lincoln Park, and it was a little town at the time, 7 square miles in New Jersey. It's where the Passaic River meets the Pumpkin River. Now the Pumpkin River is very confusing. For some reason they gave it two names. It was the Pumpkin River and the Pequannock River. I don't know why the river had two names, but Lincoln Park were located 7 square miles where the Pumpkin River met the Passaic River, and also the old Mabey homestead was on Route 202, and across the street to the south was the famous Hook Mountain, and it was a beautiful mountain filled with Native American arrowheads and artifacts. I mean, if you got up early in the morning and you went and climbed Hook Mountain um, before lunchtime, if you were really diligent and serious and really put effort into it, by noontime, by lunchtime, you would have found an arrowhead. But you had to be diligent about it. Kind of get on your hands and knees and, move the leaves and all that kind of stuff. So it's Friday. I take the weekend off from filming YouTube. So I'll be back Monday morning. I don't know about morning. I'll be back Monday. The good Lord willing. You start reaching 70 and you say, see hello, the good Lord willing. So I'm going to sign off. Please, if you like this video, or even if you didn't like this video, please smash the like button. Please comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and hit the bell on the right-hand side. Lets you know when I put up new videos. So I'm going to close. So stay happy, stay positive, stay healthy. This is Richard Mabey and Alfred E. Newman. Signing off.